Hi everyone, it's Carrie with a pinch of salt, and I am going to show you the February subscription box. I'm gonna just turn the camera over so you can get an overhead view while I paint it. I changed things up a little bit this month, and I just made one flyer for your box that you can scan the back of the code, and it will take you to all of the things that I belong to, my YouTube channel, which is where you're gonna see this video, Facebook, Instagram, all the places to find me. So I thought that would maybe be easier to do that, so you can just scan it with your phone. If you need help with that, just let me know, send me a message. And then I thought I would start to add on a picture of what it looks like blank and kind of lay it out a little bit, how it goes together with the picture that I have that it goes to when it's together. And then I have what's included in your kit and some how-to instructions. And then with this video, I'll be able to show you how I painted mine. So let's just get started. Okay, first off, some of the things that I like to have with me when I'm painting are some scissors, a thing of water, a small paintbrush. I have my glue, I have my paint colors, and then all of my pieces that I will need. So we'll just do one at a time here, and I will show you how I painted mine. I do use the water with the darker brown paint just because I like the stained look, and that's how I achieve that with the on the wagon. Actually all four pieces actually use this brown stain. Don't forget, you can also cut your sponges in half if you want to like save some. I always try to keep the end of the sponge semi-clean, and then I'll cut the ends off and use them for later on when I need them. So I'll start off with the bunny one. This is what the bunny looks like. This is what it looks like finished here. So as you can see, I love just like the stain color. So that's what I use for a lot of my projects. So what I do for that is I'll just dip a little bit into actually I just use the lid because you don't need that much paint. Wipe a little bit off, and then I will dip it in to the water. And I always start with something that I don't want to say that that won't be shown so much. So like this little stand, I'll just like dab a little bit on just to see like how heavy it will be, and then from there I'll just rub, and then that's usually like good enough for me. And then so if it gets dark, I'll like just take the side of the sponge and like wipe a little bit off. But this is what that looks like then. And so for this one, same thing, same method. I'm actually not even gonna get any more paint. I'm just gonna start with what I have and then just rub this across. And then I do need a little bit more paint, so I'll just dip a little bit in, wipe some off, a little bit of water, not too much water. I mean, just have like the corner a little damp, and then just wipe it across. And that's how you will achieve the stained look. Now, wood grain is different. So as you can see, there's like some different texturing in there just because of the way the wood grain is. But I'm happy with the way that looks, so I'm just gonna leave it. And then I used white for the little sides. Now, I'm gonna show you how to put this together so that your pieces can fit in. So one of these doesn't matter because this will go to the back of it. Unless you want to paint it, you can. The other one I did paint white. Same thing, little bit of paint. I just wipe, I usually just get it from the lid, so I know that I just don't have a whole lot, because you really do not need a lot of paint. You can wear gloves if you want. This is latex paint. It does clean right off. It's pretty easy to get off your fingers and your nails. And that's just how that will go right there. And then you have another little piece here, same thing, little corner in, and just glide across it. Now I am kind of working fast just so that I can get this video done for you guys. So hopefully you'll take your time, have this be like your me time. Be creative, you don't have to follow my instruction. And then that's what the basket will look like. So these back pieces that you have here will fit just like this, so that the other pieces slide in. It's like a basket that we had a couple months ago for our subscription box. So I'm gonna set that to the side, and then we've got the little bunny. Same thing again, I'll just use the white, dab in a little bit on the sponge. You can use a brush if you're trying to get in the edges. I don't worry so much about like the pink on the ears, like trying to keep like the white out of it. I just do my best. We'll take the sponge and just kind of like wipe it around on the outside and then glide across maybe like that line so it doesn't go into that. But I'm not gonna worry about it so much because I'm gonna fill it in anyway. Just use the side of the sponge for the little area. So that's like super easy just to do that. Or like I said, little brushes. Dollar General even carries the brushes that I use. I love them. I just buy most of them on Amazon because I like to buy like a bulk of them, but they can be found at Dollar General. I'm just gonna paint right over his face. And where the hands are, I know that my little pieces are gonna fit right over it, so I don't have to be so particular about that, and the nose. So I'm gonna add a little bit more. I always kind of start on the edge and then I will drag it across. And like I said, you don't have to worry so much about the hands because they're gonna be covered. And just use the corner of the sponge for your outline. And then his little hands get painted white. Usually I'll take a piece of tape. Let me show you that real quick. So I use this blue painter's tape. I get it from Harbor Freight, and I will just tear off a little piece, turn it sticky side up, and set your little pieces on there so that it's easier to paint them. Just a little dab across both of the hands, and that should be good. Set this over here. And then I need the pink for the nose and the ears. I do have a little brush here. These blue handled ones, like I said, Dollar General carries them and you can get them on Amazon. Some of you may have them from previous kits. Sometimes I will throw them in if they need to be detailed like pieces. So I'll just paint across the nose. And then for the ears, the same thing. This brush is a little, it's just got some loose pieces around the edge, so I'll have to be careful. I just kind of outline first and then fill in. And if you're gonna dry brush over these, you really can hide a lot of flaws if you do that with the white paint, which I can show you how to do that at the end. And there you go, that's finished. I did forget like a little piece of his body down here. In between the eggs. Just try to use the corner of the sponge to fill that in. And there you go. And then for the eggs, I did green and blue. Again, if you need to cut your sponges in half to make it work a little easier for you, you can. Especially with these little containers. But you don't need a lot of paint. So I'm just gonna cut that right in half. We're gonna start with the green. Wipe some off on the side so it's not so heavy. So I like to almost see like no paint on my sponge. I like to see more of the sponge than the paint. I'll just start with small dabs across the top and then just fill in. You don't want it real heavy across these scored lines because if you do make it heavy, then the paint will go in and you won't be able to see the lines. So you do not want a lot of paint on your sponge so that you can still see those lines. And then with the blue, same thing. Start on the edge with a little dab, and then once I know how heavy I want my fingers to be and how heavy the paint is, You can always add a little bit more. But again, you just don't want it real heavy because you don't want the scored lines to be covered on the eggs. And then once this is all dry and done, I'll go in and add some touch up with like outline a little bit of the egg like I had done. So for now, we're gonna put this in the little basket to the side, and we will do the cart next. I know I'm gonna need my coral for the carrots. This back piece, so this fits together, this goes on top, this goes in the back to hold so that you have the little slot. You have this on the front and then this on the back for a little bit more stability. So with the cart, same thing with the brown, a little bit into the container, a little bit into the water. I know these are gonna be covered up, so I could always start here to see how heavy my paint will be and then go across, if that makes sense. So I always like kind of use a spot that won't be shown as much to see how heavy my paint will be. This, the handle will be shown, and then behind the wheels, I can paint these. Actually, I lied. I'm sorry, I meant these. So the other wheels will not be shown. I'm gonna paint these the same color. And then I don't have to paint these if I don't want to, because these are just gonna be hidden behind the back here, and then these will be hidden behind the back, but I will paint the stand. Okay, so then we have the little carrot stand that will go into the cart. So we will start off with the carrots, and I'm gonna cut another little sponge. I always, like I said, use the lid because I know I don't need that much paint. Wipe a little bit off on the side of the cup. I'd say you do want to make sure when you close the lids of your little paint jars, make sure the outside is clean, because I've had some trouble being sloppy and having paint down the side, and then it's hard to get the lids off later on if you need that color paint. They should last a little bit. I don't know how long, if you guys have been keeping yours, how long you've been able to keep yours. But they should last a little bit so that you'll have other paint colors if you want to keep them for other kits. So there's the carrots. And then I'm gonna paint the back of this brown as well. It's not gonna be seen so much, but I do want the sign to be. So I'm gonna start here. Like I said, this is gonna be covered. And then I know that I can, how much force to use and how much paint I'll need. The outline is gonna show, so I am gonna go right over it. I just know that I don't have to be so careful where the carrots will be covering it. So like that. And then I'm gonna stick these here, that here. Go back to my white for my lettering. Again, you don't have to use the same colors as I do. You can change things up. Way too much paint. And when you use like less paint, it dries a lot faster so that you don't have to wait for the paint to dry. My white paint pen that I usually use, it's just kind of dried up. I need to order another one. That was from a whole set, and I guess I just used the white one so much. It's all dried up, and there's no more left. So I'm gonna have to go and get just a white paint pen. I'm pretty sure Hobby Lobby has ones that I can use, so I don't have to buy the whole set again, because a lot of the colors I haven't even touched. So there is the little sign for your cart. And then we've got the house. So this piece will go in front of here, just like that, so that you have the little slot again right there. So I am going to do this one, the dark brown color that we used for the stain. Same thing with the roof. Add a little bit more water and I could probably get more paint out of that. I always say you can always go back and add more, but you can't take anything away. So that's why I always say start out pretty light. That way if you need to add more paint, you can. Again, the dry brushing at the end can cover up any little issues that you have somewhere, which, you know, usually I'm sure it's fine. And then again, with these scored pieces, you don't want to put the paint in, so I always just start off on the edge without hitting anything that's scored, see how much paint is on my sponge, and then I know where I'm at, so then I'll just wipe across, if that makes sense. Just because if you put a glob of paint on these scored lines, it will go into them. You can use like a safety pin, or I have like a weeding tool for vinyl that I've purchased. Well, I've had them from my shop, but you can get them at the Dollar Tree. I'm sure maybe Hobby Lobby has them. They may be a little bit more expensive because they're probably the Cricut brand. But, so this is what this will look like. Oops. Or you can always keep a piece of paper to the side of you, or a paper towel, and use that as like a dab to dab some of the paint off your sponge. I do that as well. Just grab a piece of paper or something and then just sometimes dab that on there. So that will go like that, and then the house will paint white as well. I know I'm not gonna see like the roof area, and I know I'm not gonna see the bottom down below, so I'll just paint across where I know the white is gonna show. And then I'll just double check, make sure I have everything covered. You can see there's a little spot over here. So that will go just like that. And I'm gonna do the opposite on this little basket. I'm gonna do the basket white. And then we're gonna do the accent pieces to the white basket with the darker brown. And again, you don't have to do this back piece if you don't want to. I kind of flipped around a little bit. This is actually gonna go behind here, so you don't have to paint that as well. Let's go to the chicken. This is so cute. So with the chicken, we are gonna paint all of these pieces. You could use the coral for the beak. I didn't do that, I used yellow, and maybe I should have used the coral. So we'll use it this time and see what happens. Again, a little paint on my sponge to the chicken. So we'll do his beak coral this time. He's really cute. I'm just gonna set that to the side, and then we'll go on to these. I did do coral on one of the eggs here. You could go in and paint these different colors if you have like a thinner brush. You know, you could have painted the top a different color if you want to decorate your eggs a little bit more than what I have. You can always do that. I just preferred to go in with my white paint pen and just kind of like outline a little bit of the accent pieces, then to go in and try to paint all these individual lines. But you can do that if you want. So there is the chicken. And then we have the little lamb last. So for this one, I would mix the white and the brown together. So we're gonna paint this white. If you have like a little bowl, little paint, Dollar Tree also sells little paint trays. You can also grab some of those to put your paint in, mix things up. If you have any of these like little cups, little Dixie cups or something maybe, there is that. And then the ears, that's gonna be pink. I have two noses over here. So we're gonna paint one of the little nose here, pink with the brush. And then for the white and the brown, if you don't have a paint tray and you're at the end and you've already used, you know, you don't need your sponges so much anymore, you could add a little white to your little lamb, and then you can take your brown brush or your brown sponge and go right over it. Just a little bit more. Again, you don't have to be so careful about the top because it's going to be covered, and then just move on and use a little bit on the ears. And you know, you have to think about animals aren't all totally solid, almost one color. So if there's a little bit like the grain is showing, that's fine, totally fine. So then this is what that will look like. And then I'll go back in at the end with a paintbrush to do the eyes. I'll just use the end of my paintbrush. So I'm gonna just set this to the, oh wait, we got the eggs. Got the eggs for this one still. Let's do, we got yellow for the one egg and pink for the other. And I'm just gonna try to use a different sponge. Actually, I'll just cut this. And again, you know, this little part right here is gonna be covered. So if you get paint on it, it's fine. A little bit more. Okay, now we got that finished. Now at this point, I would say go back in, touch anything up that you have before you glue. Clean out your paintbrush if you're using a paintbrush. I forget, and then my paintbrushes get hard. And then I always keep a paper towel next to me so that I can wipe off my brush. Set to the side, and now we're gonna start gluing. Okay, let's start with the house. So if you're using my super glue, excuse the paint on my fingertips, it has a little poker at the top here. You're gonna just press it in without squeezing the tube, because it can start coming out, and then put the cap on immediately so that it doesn't squirt out. Set that to the side. You do not need a lot of glue for this, okay? So I always say, I start off using like the bigger, put the glue on the biggest piece that you have. So I'm going to match that up here. Make sure that it is totally perfect to the sides because you need this little slot here to go into the stand. So you're going to match that up. And you're going to add the white piece. Make sure that that matches up. And see, it is squirting out a little bit, so I'll just use that and I'm gonna rub that across the top here. If I'm not gonna use it for a minute, I will put the cap back on because sometimes it does squirt out on its own. Just do not get it on your fingers. It is super glue. You wanna make sure that this is flush against the side here and the top so that it makes this little groove here that you can, excuse me, put your insert in. Then we will go to the top here. Again, I always try to use the biggest piece and just wipe it on so I'm not trying to hold this and get glue on it. So we're gonna lay this down. Also try to not get the glue to go out of the edges so then it's all over your fingers. Press it down, this glue dries pretty fast. So that is how we glued that together. Let that set. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the little chicken that goes inside the little coop. Put a little glue there. Now I did like the finishing at the end. There's a little glob there. I waited until everything was dry and glued to add the little white finishes on everything. So we're going to add these. Again, I am moving kind of fast just so I can get this video done to show you all what I'm doing. So don't feel like you have to move as fast as me. Hopefully you're taking your time, like I said, and making this a little me day, some me time. Little feet. And then I'll do the eyes at the end. So I'm gonna just set this aside and let this dry while I go on to this. So same thing, since these letters are so small, I'll take my glue and literally just add a little dot on the letters. I mean, very tiny. It will stick. And then just make sure that those are pressed down and in place. Same thing with the little carrots. I'll do the top of the carrots and then add just a little bit on here. Start with the top pieces and then go on to the actual carrot. Make sure everything fits together. Make sure it's flush against the bottom again so you have that little piece that's sticking out. Set that aside to let that dry. And then the cart. So you have this back piece. Put a little glue on. Make sure that you leave these little slots at the bottom here so that they will go into the stand correctly. You can add a little bit of glue around the edge for the little wheel. And then I'm gonna let that dry for just a minute so I'm not shifting things around while I'm trying to put the back end on and the top. So I'm gonna let that dry for just a second. We'll move on to the little basket. Make sure that they are flush against the edge. This goes in the back, so I'll let that dry. We'll move on to the little lamb. Once I get my Easter things up, I will show you how I will style these. I think that they would be really cute to lay out if you're hosting Easter, lay out on the food table. If you're doing like charcuterie boards or anything, if you're having brunch, they would be cute just scattered within the food. My little buffet in my dining room is where everything goes. I think I have this the wrong way. Is where all my decorations go for the holidays. So I will move out whatever I have in there right now. I can't think. Oh, I have St. Patrick's Day in there right now because I just moved Easter into my office. So I will move these out there and just place them on my buffet, but I do host Easter. So I may move these around for Easter and use them on my food table as little decorations. They could go in your bathroom if you have like a little bathroom. I have a tray in my bathroom that I try to keep smaller things in. They would be cute there. Living room shelves, if you have like built-ins or any kind of shelf in your living room that you like to decorate. A little paint. Let that dry too. We're gonna set that to the side. Oops. Move on to the little bunny. So cute. Okay. Okay, so we've got the house finished. We've got the chicken finished. We're gonna go back to the little cart. This piece that says back, some of you may say back on there. Some of them may not, I don't know. But then you are going to just take a little bit of glue, put this on the back of the cart. And that is gonna be like another holder, the other side. And same thing with the wheels. This is just like a little extra. So when it's standing, it has a little bit more support. I'm gonna let that sit to the side. Oh, shoot, that one didn't dry. Try not to squeeze on the glue too hard. These will go on the back of the baskets so that you have that little slot. Just like that. Okay, we'll let that dry for a minute and then I will show you what I did to finish all the little things up. Okay, to add on the eyes, I just used the end of a brush. You could also use a toothpick if you have a toothpick at home, but the end of a paintbrush works well. I'm just gonna dip a little bit into the brown paint that I have. And I'm just gonna dot. Just gonna dot those little eyes. I'm gonna do that with the little lamb as well. Very cute. And then I will use the paintbrush to go in and add some of my lines. Now, again, I would prefer a brush. A paint pen. But if you do have like something that's like thin like this, like a thin paintbrush, it can work as well. I'll sometimes twirl it. I don't want a lot of paint on here. And this is literally just, I'm just doing like what I can. I'm not like trying to do something like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a little accent. So I'll just see how this brush may be a little too thick for my liking. Sometimes I will take the end of the paintbrush as well and make some little dots. Oops. Same thing with the Easter eggs. I could dot the Easter eggs. And again with the brush, just trying to glide over the lines. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. So pretty much that's it. Could do a little dry brushing on the edges if you'd like. So I'm not doing anything fancy with the white paint. I'm just adding a little accent color to it. Nothing crazy, just to add a little extra to it. Because we just like to be extra. And again, doesn't have to be perfect. It's literally just adding pieces on. May have gotten a little crazy right there. If you don't like something, you know, if it's a little too much, you can also just like wipe it off and add a little bit more coral color if you need to, or you can just leave it. It is an egg. I mean, sometimes eggs are marbleized, right? Again, just outlining this. Add a little white into the heart. A little white to the, use a little wet still. Just add a little white to the top. There's the little chicken. This goes into here, so same thing with the white. I just kind of gradually went across the lines. Again, no rhyme or reason, just I do try to stay like over the lines just because those are already like highlighted for me, so it's easy. Maybe go back through and do a little dry brushing on the edge. There's for the wagon. And now we have the little bunny left. I'm gonna do a little brushing on the edge here. I added a lot more white to this one than the original. So there are our pieces. So these just fit into this little slot here. And this fits into that. If you do have too much paint down here, if the slot is tight, you can always sand these down a little bit and it will fit just fine. I don't know how, I'm just trying to see how dry this is. I don't want to move the things around. So that is how that fits in there. Let me show you what they all look like standing up. And here are our little pieces all finished. I have them all set on my shelf. I am in the process of decorating my office for Easter, so I do have some of my Easter projects up. All of our Easter projects are on the site right now. And, oh, I didn't even see my little awning fell. So all of our Easter projects are on the site right now, but these are what these look like, and I can't wait to use them for my Easter Sunday. Hope you guys enjoyed creating your project, and I will see you soon. Hey subscribers, I just wanted to let you guys know that if you post photos of your finished projects in our subscription box group, you will be entered in to win a gift card to the shop. We are changing things up a little bit this year, and that is going to be one of the prizes. So when I give the okay to upload your photos into the group, again, you'll be entered in to win a gift card to do your own shopping. Our Easter products are on the site, and don't forget to use the secret code word to get 10% off all of your projects in our shop all the time. Thanks so much for watching.